Hi, I'm Cheryl Leach. The problem we're going to work on today involves finding a derivative. So I'm going to begin with y equals 6 times the square root of x. Okay. Now at first I'm a little troubled by this because we don't have a differentiation rule for finding the derivative of a square root. Okay. So I have an option of going back to my limit definition, but I really don't want to do that. So instead, I'm going to recall from algebra that I can write a root using a fractional exponent. So let's try that. Now, if you recall from algebra, when you use a fractional exponent, the numerator tells you what power you're using. The denominator will tell you what root you're using. So in this particular case, x is raised to the first power. So the numerator of my fraction will be 1. I'm taking the square root, so the denominator will be 2. So 6 times x to the 1/2 is exactly the same thing as 6 root x. Now I have rules that I can use to differentiate this. It'll be a combination between my constant multiple rule and my power rule. So taking the derivative of both sides, dy dx equals, the constant multiple rule says I pull out the 6 and then I differentiate x to the 1/2. So you bring down the 1/2, copy over the x, and subtract 1 from the exponent. And so I end up with 6 times 1/2 x to the negative 1/2. The only thing left to do at this point is some simplifying. 6 times 1/2 is 3 times x to the negative 1/2 power. This is a perfectly fine answer, but if you prefer, we can write this without using the negative exponent. And when I do that, I have it as 3 divided by x to the positive 1/2 power. Again, that's a rule from algebra. Again, this is a perfectly fine answer, but because our original problem was written in radical notation, why don't I leave the answer in radical notation as well? So the final result is 3 divided by the square root of x. I hope this helped. Thanks.